coming from Mr. O's. One is let's forget about the debt as a whole, and secondly is, well, it is all Germany's fault because Germany has been, quote unquote, according to him, manipulating the economy. Mr. Georgopoulos, is that true? It seems that your Prime Minister, Mr. Tsipras, already said recently, changing tone from previously, that Germany is not the problem.
Well, many Greek politicians tend to say different things in the pre-election period in order to become elected. And when they are elected, they land into reality. So this is what the Prime Minister said in Berlin, that Germany and the foreigners in general are not responsible for the Greek problem. This is real, this is true, but the problem for him is right now is to persuade members of his party that this is the case indeed, because he has to implement the reforms and he has also to take other measures, many of which and members of his party might disagree. Therefore, it is not only important to say the truth, but also to practically implement the right policies. And we have to wait and see whether he will be successful in that.
Those policies have damaged the Greek economy. Those policies are not helping.
One of the things
the policies that you're talking about have been counterproductive. They've led to the debt burden growing. According to the GDP, it's now up to 177% of
well,
GDP.
Well, yes, because the debt has not been paid, right?
Massively
and therefore
high.
It's growing,
the policies
isn't it?
do not work.
What does it work? You say forget about the debts, but these capitals and the IMF, can they afford it?
Well, earlier start of this millennium, around 2000, there was a Jubilee 2000 campaign talking about debt forgiveness of third world nations. It was all warned then that if they forgave the debt of developing nations, then there would be a financial crisis, that the economy would collapse, that the world economy depended upon the flow of money from developing nations to international financial institutions.
But Mr. O's, may I remind you, before I let other panelists to respond to you, may I remind you that we are not talking about developing economies as a whole. We are talking about some sporadic
Greece
countries.
is actually regarded as a developing economy now.
It is a member of the developing economies. Sir, may I just finish my sentence, please? It is being regarded as a member of the developing economies, but we are not facing it at this moment as a group that developing economies are running into debt problems. We are talking about sporadic countries inside Southern Europe that are running into the problem. So maybe you do not want to use developing countries as the substitute for the country of Greece. So let me come back to the question of Greece once again, Mr. Georgopoulos. May I ask you, because a lot of people are a little bit confused about what exactly is going on in your country. One is about your defense minister talking about flood Europe with some of the migrants, even including, quote, jihadists. And the other is coming from your justice minister, demanding Germany $160 billion in war repatriation, rather euro in war repatriations, and warn Greece might seize the building of the Goethe Institute. Of course, these might be regarded as extreme rhetorics, may not be actions, but what does that mean for the confidence between Athens and also some of the other European capitals, sir?
Well, this is the most important part of the Greek crisis right now. And the main challenge for the Greek government is to become reliable at the European level, and also as far as Greek-German relations are concerned. If we use what the Prime Minister Tsipras said in Berlin, then this means that the government is making a U-turn in order to show to its creditors and to its European partners that it is prepared to cooperate and it's prepared to respect obligations of the country. But we have to wait and see whether practically this will happen. As far as demands of Greece are concerned regarding war reparations from Germany, the Prime Minister of Greece was clear, and he said that this is mainly an issue not to be an economic one, but to be discussed at the ethical level. So it was straightforward in Berlin. The problem again is the lack of liquidity, and in that sense the Greek government needs to provide very soon a list of reforms.
At this moment, I also want to follow up with that, Mr. Georgopoulos. because I understand in your country, please correct me if I'm wrong, the government is trying very hard to, motivate some of the common folks, students, even tourists, to work as, like, in a way, tax inspectors, to let them wire it up and go to households so that as much taxes can be collected as possible, so the coffer, in essence, will not be empty as a whole. What do you think of these measures? How much will they be able of help to the realities of your economy, sir?
You are right in what you say, and tax evasion and the fight against tax evasion is one of the most important priorities for Greece. And in that regard, this government is prepared to expand controls, not only in the country itself, but also regarding money which is sent abroad by many Greek citizens. Within this context, Greece can cooperate with its European partners who are prepared to help. It's a matter of political will, but again, the problem is that this policy requires time, which currently the current government does not have. So the problem right now for Greece is to provide the list of reforms, get a part of the current tranche from the creditors of the country, and then have more time in order to proceed with the fight against tax evasion.
All right. And Mr. Wang
Time is running out. They do not have the time.
All right. Time is running out for already 5 years. And may I ask you, Professor Wang, in Beijing, we understand some recent development, quite interesting. Greece investment, foreign investors, a lot of it actually is coming from Russia. Some suggest even 50% over the year of increase. What does that mean? Will Greece be able to seek other road of having more financial support for itself, giving more time for its reform agenda? Professor Wang?
Okay. I think it's not just taxation or other ways to solve that huge debt. The long term to solve this problem is economic growth. They need more industrialization. They need more a chance to attract investment, not just the borrow money from the market. I think this is a key. For instance, the cooperation with China in the companies, the port. This is very hopeful for the Greece to get out from the crisis.
But the reform is easier said than done. Mr. Oates, I understand very well that you want the international community to forget about the debts. I understand that. But it seems that the trend is not going...
No, it's not about forgetting about the debt. It's about restructuring the debt and putting it onto new terms that can be met over the long term. So it's a matter of restructuring, not, of course,
great. Tell me about the restructuring you are talking about.
It's about changing the terms of the debt.
What kind of terms should be changed? To what condition? What kind of the barometers and benchmarks?
Put off into the long term. It needs to be dependent upon economic growth within Greece. It needs to be dependent upon there actually being Greece becoming a growing economy again, with, of course, a substantial budget surplus, and that can only happen when Greece exits the euro. At the moment it cannot compete, and we talked about, the previous guest from Beijing talked about investment in Greece. There will be investment in Greece when it exits the euro and has its own currency at a value better suited to the Greek economy. It will then become a basis for exporting to other states.
Okay.
It will become a tourist destination in a very strong way. It will be the way to rebuild the economy. Iceland had a financial crisis back in 2008. They imposed capital controls and devalued the currency.
Right.
And now Iceland is on its way back to economic growth. It's mending its economy, has higher GDP per capita than the Eurozone.
Voice.
Greece should exit the Euro and impose capital controls.
We do not think that Iceland really exited the Eurozone. Well, it is restructuring its economy. But anyway, let me come back to you, Mr. Georgopoulos.
Iceland's doing very well now.
Do you think Athens should do that, as being said, exit the Eurozone? With realities like this, what is really likely to happen? Is that going to be the end of the story?
No, I don't think so. And I don't think that either Greece or the European creditors of Greece want Greece to leave the Eurozone. Let me say that I completely respect the economists who suggest Greece to leave the Eurozone.
Most Germans do. 59% of Germans want Greece out of the Euro.
This approach only offers a partial understanding of the problem, because the Greek crisis is a holistic crisis, a multidimensional crisis, where issues like the society and politics are concerned. And in that
the
regard,
Greek economy was
exits
growing
Let
before
before
there
Mr.
is no
Gobopoulos
the
to
day
finish,
after.
please. Yes. Well, you have finished your sentence.
If you could allow me, please, I would say that it will be very difficult to deal with an unknown adventure.
Well, you were disparaging my argument, sir, so you're actually misrepresenting what I was saying.
Thank you very much, Mr. Giorgos Gobopoulos from Athens in Greece. We also appreciate your views, Mr. Robert Oates. We heard it very clearly already. And Professor Wang Yiwei from here in Beijing.
Greece is a developing nation now.
I'm sure the debate will continue. It's not just about developing country versus developed economies. It is rather what one country will do concerning an overall reform of its own economy, and also what one country